Hello, dear students, professionals, and all curious minds out there interested in learning more about Excel for academic and career-related purposes. Here at our Excellence training program, you will learn everything you need on how to work with Excel, especially for those in life sciences, chemical and physical sciences, or social sciences. Without further ado, let's dive into our 4-part series where we will explain various features of Excel. In higher education, not saving your homework will not be a valid excuse. In many instances, your school email address will provide you with the office suite which offers you access to Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneDrive, and Outlook. You should proceed by installing all those applications on your computer. Thanks to the suite, all your documents will be automatically saved on OneDrive. To activate autosave on Excel, you're going to open Excel, enter your school credentials, and turn on autosave. To share your document, you're going to access Share button here, then enter the institution email address of your partner. Writing their full name also works at times. Then you will select Edit and then share the document. They will receive an email with a link to the document. From that link, they will be able to open an Excel window in their web browser. However, to benefit from all tools of Excel, you must open the window in the desktop application. Perfect! Now that you know how to save and share, let's move on to basic formatting tools. Now that we have explored the different types of input in Excel, let's dive into the most fundamental part of Excel, the cell. When a document is created, every cell has the same height and width. The standard cell is 10 by 1. The units represent the maximum number of characters that can fit into the cell without overflowing. The height and the width of each cell can be modified by selecting the divider of the headings and sliding it. You can even select multiple heading cells in one go. Another method is to two-finger tap or right-click on the headings and manually set their height and width. In any case, the cell width does not limit the characters the cell can contain, since the characters continue on another cell once the maximum amount is reached in the cell before. It is possible to make the cells adjust automatically to the text input by clicking CMD+1, going to alignment and selecting wrap test. The height then becomes adaptive and adjusted to the amount of text. On the top of your grid under the home window, you will find the formatting ribbons, a place where all the formatting tools are gathered. It is similar to Word's or PowerPoint's formatting ribbons, so we will go through it quickly. Here you can change the font size, bigger, small, or custom. Try to be consistent with the font size throughout the document. Here you can make your text bold, italic, or underlined. Here's where you align your text in a cell. Top left, center, bottom right, etc. Texts are aligned top left by default, but many will prefer to center them when titles are given to columns. You can manually wrap each cell with this icon. Here is where you change the text color, and on its left, that is where you select the cell background color. With more color, you can have more control over the color you pick. It is recommended to avoid changing the background and the font color both at the same time, as the contrast is not so great. By clicking on this icon, you can have access to the reduce border settings where you can quickly remove or add borders. The more borders option will give us control over the style, the width, and the color of the border. The most important tool is the merging tool. By continuously pressing on a cell and sliding your mouse to another cell, you can select multiple cells. When giving a title to a table or a section of the table, you can merge the top cell by selecting them and pressing on this icon, so that the title fits into the merged cells. Commonly in a table, you want to have headers in bold with a thick black bottom border. Now let's talk about data types. In Excel, text data is anything that you type that does not consist of only one number. For example, excellence, excellence, and x1 is text data, whereas 1, 2, or 100 is number data. In many instances, text data will be used as qualitative measurements. Qualitative measurements can either be nominal, like the colors red, blue, or green, that do not imply a ranking order, whereas ordinal categories like small, medium, large indicate a clear ranking of sizes. Remembering this is helpful when running statistics. So text data will always be located on the right hand of the cell, while numbers will occupy the left side. Numbers can take the multiple forms: naturals, scientific, fraction, percent, and decimal. With decimals, Excel allows you to choose how many numbers there are after the decimal point. For the accounting lots of view, numbers can also be expressed as currency. Currency notation has 2 decimals only. That way, the amount is given as a number, not a text, such as $300. This makes it easy to track all of the currency while still being able to do calculations. Indeed, 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2, as text data cannot be combined with simple arithmetics unlike number data. In a sentence, 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2, but 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Moving on to dates. There are multiple ways to write a date in Excel. Dates are most commonly written as text data, such as year, month, and day, or name of the weekday, day, month, and year. To write dates as number data in Excel is tricky though. Basically, today is the number of days that we are from January 1st, 1990. Hence, January 2nd would be 1, January 1st of the following year will be 365, and so on. Working with a mouse on Excel can be tedious, so here are some shortcuts that can be helpful. Let's start with Command plus C, Command plus V, Command plus Z, copy, paste, and undo. Command plus X is to cut and paste data elsewhere, and Command plus Y is to redo. Be careful, sometimes what you're copying is not going to be the value you see, but the formula instead. In that case, you would use Command plus V, then you must click on the paste icon and then select Paste Values. Selection shortcuts with Command plus A is used to select all cells in a table, meaning everything before the first empty row and the first empty cell will be selected. Command plus G selects the next empty cell, while Command plus D duplicates the cell above, and Command plus R from the cell on the left. Shift plus arrow key selects the next cell in the key direction. Shift plus up selects the cell above along with the current cell. To save time, you can select all cells with a value in it, use Command plus Shift plus key down, select all rows with a value, while Command plus Shift plus right selects all columns with a value. Notice that if you do Command plus Shift plus down followed by Command plus Shift plus right a certain amount of times, you can select the whole table the same way as Command plus A does. To navigate the Excel book, you can use Command plus F to find anything you want in a document. For formatting, Command plus 1 opens the Format cell window, while Command plus B, Command plus 1, Command plus U will make your cell content bold, italic, and underlined. For printing, you can use Command plus P, for saving Command plus S, and for quitting Command plus Q. Bonus tip: when working with a vast number of data, it can be handy to fragment your screen to reach the last value. To save yourself the trouble of scrolling down, you can go to View and split your screen. Drag the vertical bar on the side to make it disappear. Voila! You can now move freely to the bottom of the list with the lower half of the screen, while still seeing the upper half. Alternatively, you can choose to freeze the top row of the table so you can always know what your data means as you're scrolling down. Now let's work some numbers out. Suppose you obtain this data sheet. There are 50 cells in one column, and there's 5 of them. Where do you start? Well, it all depends on the question you want your data to answer. Most of the time, it is best to start by visually organizing the data you have. This is where conditional formatting comes in handy. It involves a tool that allows us to modify a cell's appearance based on its value. We're going to select our data set by clicking on conditional formatting right here. Then on Set a New Rule, we're going to start with a classic style and then explore the others. So start by selecting Classic, then change the condition to Cells That Contain, and enter Arthropoda and set the color to red. Create another rule where you specify that the cell contains chordata, and set the color to blue. Repeat this process a third time for Magnetophyta, and a fourth time with mollusk. Now that we distinguish those categories using colors, we can quickly survey the dataset to have a preview of what our data looks like. Now let's say we want to investigate which species are the tallest. Let's remove all the previous rules and create a new rule to focus on the maximum size of organisms. We're going to create a 2-color scale rule. This rule will be a bit different because it sorts sizes by color hues. On the pink and purple scale, the lowest score will be pink, the highest will be violet, and the intermediate score will get an intermediate color. There's also another type of color scale, the 3-color scale, which, unlike the 2-colored one, is more suitable for distributions where we are interested in intermediate values, such as the pH scale, for instance, where one color shows the acids, the second one the bases, and the third one neutral pH levels. Many more parameters can be modified and personalized in conditional formatting, and we wish for you to explore all those options on your own. However, there's still one main issue with conditional formatting. Indeed, it is just a visual guide to differentiate values in our dataset, meaning it doesn't allow us to make conclusions from it. For that reason, we're going to learn some more advanced analytical tools, which are the sorts, filters, and counts features. If we were to compare conditional formatting to knowing the alphabet, sorting, filtering, and counting would be like knowing how to read. In this module, we want our data to make sense to us. In a given dataset, the numbers are all over the place. Therefore, your first intuition should be to sort them from the highest to the lowest, or vice versa. To achieve that, you will click on Sort and Filter and select Sort A to Z. Now your data is alphabetically sorted. A quick warning though, whenever there is more than one column for a single row, you want the whole row to be sorted and not just that column. Otherwise, you will have mismatching data, and that is not what you want. Usually, you would want to sort out multiple columns. To do that, you click on Sort and Filter, and you select Custom Sort. You sort your table by value, then by names. Values are more important to your analysis. Or you do the opposite if that is not your case. You can apply much more than only one sort to a table, depending on what you need. Moving on to filters. Sometimes you're only interested in a row containing a certain value. In that case, you want to apply a filter to the table to remove all the rows that do not satisfy that condition. Here, I want to filter out all the species that do not possess the class Mammalia. To do so, you will select once again Sort and Filter and click on Filter. When applying a filter to a table, little arrows appear beside the headings in the table. By pressing on the arrow, you can access a menu where all the values are listed and where you can choose which ones to include. Filters work differently for text data and for numerical values. With text information, you can only choose to either include or exclude a text value. However, with numerical values, you could filter all the values superior, inferior, or equal to one specific value. Let's try by filtering all the mammals whose size is under 3 meters. Once you apply a filter, it is recommended to always duplicate the resulting table and save it as a separate table. That way, you can safely turn the initial table to its original state and keep on working on it. Once you filter your table, only the values that satisfy the condition remain. In our case, we filtered all rows that did not contain the class Mammalia. One question you might ask yourself is, how many species are mammalians? There are 2 ways you can find that out. We can either count them one by one or use our first function. Since there are too many, we're going to use the function $count brackets. Functions are going to be introduced later, but here's what you need to know. The equal sign is always used at the beginning to indicate a function. Count is the name of the function and must be written in uppercase. Finally, range indicates the range of the data you selected and must be in brackets. By combining those 3 elements, we can count how many rows possess a certain value, which is fairly different than summing them up. Let's select our data with Command plus Shift plus down and test it out. The result is 10. There's also another way to obtain these values. The sort, filter, and count method can be replaced by $count if in brackets range, comma, condition. Here, the extra condition parameter indicates that the function will count all the cells that satisfy a specific condition. If applied to our data, we get 10 again. In this part, we went over many important aspects of Excel's workflow. By now, you should be able to save and share your file with your teammates, know the main data type that exists in Excel, the basic formatting tools and guidelines. Be aware of the basis of conditional formatting and the importance of sorting and filtering. This module is meant as an introduction for those who have limited experience with Excel. Next module will be about table manipulations, and we will dig further into value analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.